My bad. I wasn't supposed to play the intro, but I did. It was 15 seconds or something like that. I don't even know. Hi, guys. It's Kathy. I hope you're doing well. Oh, man. It's been forever, hasn't it? Let's get some OJ done. We're going to do two today. The first one's 40 some minutes. The second one's almost 40 some minutes, 30, 38 or something. So, let's go. Let's go. Sheesh.
All right, we're once again on the record in the case of People versus Simpson. The defendant is present with counsel. The people are represented. We need to have the witness return to the witness stand, please. I bet you know what I'm going to say.
Yes, Your Honor.
You've previously been sworn and remain under oath. Please have a seat. Mr. Shapiro, do you wish to withdraw your last question?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you may proceed.
Detective Van Adder, prior to the time that you examined the cut on the index finger of Mr. Simpson, did you have any information as to the possible source of that cut?
Same objection.
Overruled. You can answer yes or no.
I'm trying to think about that. I believe, I don't really recall whether I do or not at this point, or whether I did or not at this point.
In any event, other than photographing it, you took no steps to ascertain anything else regarding the cut?
Well, no, that's not totally true. I asked the nurse that took the blood sample to look at and cleanse and put a Band-Aid on the wound.
Other than that, did you have anyone else examine that wound for age, type of wound, the way the wound was inflicted, or any other indicia that would be important regarding that wound?
No, sir.
Now, that wound is described as being in the index finger of the left hand.
It's on the middle finger of the left hand on the large knuckle. The main wound is on the large knuckle.
And did you compare the location of that wound to a glove that was found either at Bundy or Rockingham?
No, sir, I didn't.
Has anybody under your direction looked at the glove to see whether or not there is a slice in the glove on the middle finger of the left hand that would coincide with the injury Mr. Simpson suffered when you observed him?
Yes, I had the glove looked at.
And what conclusions have been drawn?
I was informed that there was no slice on the glove that would correspond with that injury.
Is it your opinion, based on your investigation, that the murderer was wearing gloves at the time?
Yes.
Do you have any opinion as to how the glove got to the location on Rockingham?
Yes, I certainly do.
And what is that?
My opinion of how the glove got to the location on Rockingham.
Yes.
Well, I believe at the time of the murder, the person was wearing gloves, and during the struggle with the man, one of the gloves was dropped at the crime scene, and the other glove was then transported to Rockingham.
And how did it end up in the debris in Rockingham, in your opinion?
Well, from looking at the scene and from knowing all the circumstances that surround that, I believe it was dropped back there by the person that transported it up to that location, doing whatever he was doing behind there that created the loud thumps on the wall.
And so I would take it you would have the criminalist search that area for blood drops.
Yes.
And did you have the criminalist search that area for blood drops?
Yes.
Were any found?
Not to my knowledge.
I would take it you would have the criminalist check on that area to see if there were any footprints with blood on it.
Yes.
Did you have that done?
I even looked at it myself. There was a lot of debris and leaves lying on the walkway.
Were there any bloody footprints in that area?
I didn't see any, sir, no.
I take it you'd want to determine whether or not, prior to investigator Furman going back there, whether or not anybody else walked in that area. Is that correct?
I'm not sure I understand that.
This is a dumb question, but was the Bronco parked really badly right behind Cato's house? Or is Cato's house like somewhere else? I don't know. I know they showed pictures, but I don't remember looking at that.
Prior to investigator Furman going to that area, did you make any determination as to whether anyone else had walked in that area?
Prior to Detective Furman going there,
Yes.
I was not aware of the location until Detective Furman told me about it.
Well, was there any attempt made when Detective Furman went back there to preserve that area so there would be no disturbance of any potential evidence that may be recovered?
Yes, I instructed the criminalist to.
Yep, but that didn't answer the question. Was the Bronco parked badly on the street that was right behind Cato's house? Or was the Bronco parked on a, okay, so OJ's on a corner. Yes, but that doesn't answer the question. Was the Bronco parked on the street directly behind Cato's house, or was it parked somewhere else? So, like, if the Bronco was parked the whole way around the corner on the other street, then, yeah, the one Cato lives in, the building that Cato lives in, was the Bronco parked right behind a pool house that Cato sleeps in? Is that better? Or was the Bronco parked on the other side? Because it doesn't make sense for someone to park the Bronco badly way over here and then run around and climb over a fence at Cato's house. Or, I'm sorry, at the pool house that slept Cato. Spoiler alert, he did it.
To protect the piece of evidence and protect the area. Before I left there, yes.
Was there any determination made as to whether anybody had walked back there before Detective Furman?
I don't know that that could be done with the type of debris that was on the walkway. I would have to say, no, there was no determination.
I wish I
made.
was drunk.
Was there any determination made as to whether or not that glove could have been thrown over a fence into the area?
I don't know how that could be determined. I don't know.
Was there any determination made as to whether or not that glove could have been dropped out of the bathroom window?
Objection, how could, counsel's asking for an impossibility. How could such a thing ever be determined?
Sustained.
May I be heard, Your Honor?
Not at this time.
Thank you. Was there any determination made that would show any difference between the age of the linings of the two gloves?
Not to my knowledge, not at this time, no.
You were present during the coroner's autopsy,
Yes, sir.
and you've been in contact with the criminalist,
Yes, sir.
and you were in charge of one of the crime scenes?
Yes, sir.
Which one was that?
The one on Rockingham.
And did you properly secure that crime scene to preserve evidence?
I believe I did, yes.
Did you
I'm sorry,
properly
Snoopy.
preserve the Ford Bronco to preserve evidence?
I attempted to. I believe I did, yes.
How did you preserve the Ford Bronco for future evidence?
I had officers at the scene. I instructed them to protect and preserve the items as well as the Ford, and I instructed the officers to have the vehicle impounded to the print shed, Los Angeles Police Department print shed.
To your knowledge, were those directions followed?
I would hope so.
Do you know if they were or not?
No, because I was not at the scene there for a long period of time.
Do you have any reports, or have you heard from any officer that coffee stains from members of the media were on the Bronco after you secured the crime scene?
No, sir, I'm not aware of that.
Do you have any information that after you secured the crime scene, the Bronco was towed to Vitarelli's tow truck yard?
That's a possibility. I'm not aware of that either, sir.
That wouldn't be something that you directed, would it?
Well, that could be done because the tow service for West Los Angeles Division, each area has a separate tow service. It could have been taken there before it was brought to the print shed. I didn't know that.
Well, you wouldn't do that as somebody who had secured evidence to have some tow truck driver take it to a tow yard, would you?
Well, that's what normally happens with vehicles that we impound. They're normally impounded by the tow service that's in that area.
And is that a proper way of preserving evidence, in your opinion?
It's about the only way that we can move a vehicle without driving it.
Is it a proper way of preserving evidence to have an independent tow truck driver tow a car by himself to an impound yard?
Well, they're not independent. They're OPG tow services, which are our official police garages that are licensed by the police commission. And that is normally done from each area that you're in. Each area would have its own OPG service. Yes, I think that's a proper way of protecting it.
So as one of the lead homicide detectives in Los Angeles Police Department, you feel secure that you can leave a scene, have an unknown tow truck driver come hook up a
Objection,
piece...
this is argumentative.
Sustained.
I haven't even finished. Gets better. You weren't aware that that happened, though?
Aware
Objection's
that,
vague, what?
All right, tell us what happened to your knowledge, what happened to the Ford Bronco from the time you left it at the crime scene on Rockingham?
I don't know, sir, I wasn't there.
Well, why don't you look at your book or your notes or your chronological record, or talk to some of your fellow detectives and see if you can answer that question.
Well, objection, Your Honor. This witness is the one who's being posed the question now. If counsel wants to ask the question of another witness who may have personal knowledge, he's free to do so. But to direct this witness to run around and talk to people and look through books is an improper question.
Sustained as to the form of your question,
I
Mr.
thought you
Shapiro.
said he was in charge of the investigation at Rockingham.
Do you have that kind of information available in your murder book?
Your Honor, there should be a tow record on the vehicle in the murder book, yes. A vehicle report that would indicate that the vehicle was towed.
You were present, you told us, at the coroner's autopsy?
Yes.
You talked to the criminalist?
Talk to,
Have you talked to a criminal?
If you can't change it from top message to all messages, or then reboot, refresh.
In this case?
yes, the Los Angeles Police Department criminalist.
Have you
Yes.
talked to more than one criminalist from Los Angeles Police Department?
Yes.
How many are involved in this case?
Well, I know of 3 personally. Would you like me to name them?
Yes, please.
Well, Mrs. Kessler, who's the assistant lab director, has assisted. Colin Yamauchi.
Objection, Your Honor. I think counsel's question was vague, and it's drawing an answer that indicates how vague it was. If counsel could be more specific in his question to Detective Van Adder to indicate whether he means the criminalist that goes to the crime scene, does the field work, or the ones that are serologists that work in the lab dealing with the analysis of the physical evidence. They are 2 different things.
The objection's overruled. Yamauchi, Kessler.
And Dennis Fall.
Are you aware that the Los Angeles Police Department went to a location known as Ross's Cutlery and purchased a stiletto knife?
Yes.
Was that stiletto knife, to your knowledge, shown or described to the coroner?
Yes.
Which one? Was it shown?
Shown to the coroner.
Was it shown or described to the criminalist?
I don't believe so.
Do you have an opinion as to whether or not a stiletto knife substantially similar to the one you purchased was the murder weapon in this case?
That's way outside my field of expertise. I would have no answer to that.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Ms. Clark, do you have any additional questions?
I do, Your Honor. Detective Van Adder, can you think of a reason why you would want to show the knife purchased from Ross Cutlery to a criminalist?
No.
It's not a knife recovered from a crime scene, was it?
No.
And with respect to the 3 people you named as criminalists in this case, of the 3 you named, how many were involved in the field work, by which I mean outside at crime scenes collecting evidence?
Only one, Dennis Fall.
Did you see any bloody shoe prints on the driveway of 360 Rockingham?
No.
As a matter of fact, you were at the original crime scene at 875 South Bundy, is that correct, sir?
Yes,
And you followed, I think you indicated yesterday, the blood trail that led from the bodies of the victims out to the alleyway behind the residence?
that's correct, yes.
Were the bloody shoe prints to the right of those blood drops visible the entire path next to the blood drops that were found all the way to the back of the residence?
You could see portions of the shoe prints, yes.
Were they equally dark from the beginning of the trail to the end?
No,
By the time you got out to the alley, could you see shoe prints at all?
no.
Are you familiar, sir, with a report or a paper with notes on it pertaining to a 459 at 874 South Bundy? Suspects there now?
Yes, I have some knowledge of that.
Can you tell us, enlighten us as to what that pertains to or how that came about, if you know?
I can tell you what I was informed of.
Yes.
I was informed by a uniformed officer, and I can't recall his name that night at the scene, that call was generated because the two original people that found the crime scene knocked on a person's door who wouldn't answer the door, and this person called the police and reported that they thought there were burglary suspects there.
And those two people, were those the witnesses that you located for the preliminary hearing, Shukru Bostepi and Bettina Rasmussen?
That's correct, yes.
I need it for my eye, Lori.
Sir, do you have any knowledge of the nature of the West LA impound yard in terms of its conditions of security?
Personal knowledge?
Yes.
No.
Have you, in general, are police impound yards secure with respect to having some kind of barricade or gate within which
Or dog. They
vehicles
have
that have
dogs.
been impounded can be locked?
Yes, definitely.
To your knowledge, is that the case with every police impound yard?
Every one I've ever seen, yes.
And is it your
Fozzie, you're supposed to be nice to me today.
information that that is the same condition for the West LA impound yard, that is also an area that is secure with respect to cars that have been impounded and placed there?
I'm sure that it is, yes.
I have nothing further.
Mr. Shapiro?
Detective, were any reports generated that indicate a police officer said that this 459 report was a result of two people knocking on the door?
Not to my knowledge, sir, no.
And that report was put out on a police radio at 10 minutes after 12, isn't that correct?
That's what I was told, yes.
And to your knowledge, what time were the bodies found?
10 minutes after 12?
That was the first finding of the bodies?
Yes.
Thank you, nothing further.
Anything further, Ms. Clark?
I have nothing further, thank you.
Thank you. You
Thank
may
you.
step down.
When I went to get my coffee, I let a stink bug in. It's right there. I'm going to try to finish this stream, though.
Next witness.
People called Thano Paredes. Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor. Can I recall Detective Lang very briefly?
All right.
One very small matter.
You've previously been sworn to remain under oath. State your name, please.
Tom Lang, L-A-N-G-E.
Thank you.
Sir, you earlier indicated that on People's 20, I believe, the photograph A pertained to the rear gate of the location of 875 South Bundy.
Yes.
And were you a little disturbed by that at the time that you were testifying to it?
Yes,
Sustained.
Did you, after concluding your testimony this morning, approach me to say that you wanted to review your notes and did you approach me after you concluded your testimony this morning, sir?
Yes.
And for what purpose did you approach me?
I was unhappy with my identification of photograph A as being the rear gate, and I believed it to be the front gate.
And did you go back and ascertain whether that was correct? What was
Yes,
correct?
I did. Photograph A is indeed of the front gate, not the rear gate.
Photograph A is the front gate of 875 South Bundy,
That's correct.
and you were mistaken when you earlier testified that it was the rear gate.
That's correct.
I have nothing further.
Any questions? Thank you. You may step down.
Thank you.
People call Donald Barabbas.
Okay.
It's all right, Nan. Just tell me the messages you miss and I'll read them to you. Shout it out if you know who any of these people are. I mean, we know the Goldmans. If you know, not if you guess. Because we'll believe you. And then we'll just be wrong for the next 30 years.
Face the clerk, sir, and raise your right hand.
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in the cause now pending before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Please be seated.
Right up here, sir.
State and spell your name for the record.
Thano Paratis, Thano Peratis.
You may inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Paratus, sir, can you tell us what you do for a living?
I'm a registered nurse.
You're a
Every
registered
day.
nurse?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you qualified to draw blood from people?
Yes,
How long have you been a registered nurse?
about 40 years.
And where are you employed as a registered nurse?
Parker Center Jail.
At Parker Center Jail? Is that yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you so employed on the date of June the 13th, 1994?
Yes,
Have you received some training in a medically approved manner of taking blood from people in a way that does not contaminate the blood?
Yes,
And did you, on June the 13th, 1994, remove a blood sample from someone you recognize in court today?
yes.
Could you please point that person out?
A gentleman over there.
And what's he wearing right now?
I didn't hear you.
What is he wearing right now, for the record?
A black suit.
Are you referring to the defendant here, Mr. Simpson?
Oh, the defense. Maybe I misunderstood you.
Yes, who are you referring to that you took blood from in this court?
Oh, yes, the defendant.
Indicating Mr. Simpson.
I've had a husky in the past, and he was a roamer, so much so that we had to get rid of him because the city was finding us because the dog kept getting out. Our fences just kept getting higher and higher. Then we screwed that little thing into the ground, even though we were fenced in, and we had him on a tether, a long one. But no, he would dig it right out of the ground. He always got out. He got out no matter what we did. And then we had to get rid of him because we were about to get hit. Back then, $300 was a lot of money.
And how did you do that?
Oh, I put a tourniquet on his arm and cleaned the arm with Zephyrin and took a syringe with a needle and withdrew the blood and put the blood into a test tube.
Was that a sterile test tube?
Yes, ma'am.
And how did you seal the test tube?
The tube was sealed. It had a rubber stopper on it.
It already had a rubber stopper
Yes.
on it? How did you get the blood into it?
I stuck the needle into it and then injected it.
And then you just withdrew the needle?
Then withdrew the needle with the syringe.
And did that leave the test tube then secure with the blood in it?
Yes.
And what did you do with that vial of blood?
I handed the tube to Detective Van Adder.
Thank you, sir. I have nothing further.
Mr. Shapiro?
Do you remember, sir, which arm you drew the blood from?
The right arm.
Did you make any observations of any injuries of Mr. Simpson at the time?
I'm sorry?
Did you observe any injuries on Mr. Simpson at the time you withdrew the blood?
Not at that time, no.
At some time, did you?
After Mr. Simpson, after I put a bandage up Mr. Simpson's arm, I was asked, I can't remember if it was by Mr. Simpson or one of the detectives, if I would dress a wound on his finger.
And did you do that?
Yes, sir.
Where was the wound?
It was on his left hand, on his left middle finger.
Did you examine the wound?
Just a cursory examination. I just looked at it and I cleaned it, with which is what we routinely do. And then I put a dressing on it.
Did you determine the age of the wound?
Not really. It was a little difficult to determine the age. It looked like between 12 and 24 hours, but I really couldn't say.
Did you ascertain the cause of the wound?
No. It just looked like a little small cut.
In the last 5 years, how many times have you conducted a similar type of examination for somebody from the Robbery Homicide Division?
Objection, irrelevant.
Sustained.
How much blood did you withdraw from Mr. Simpson?
Approximately 8 cc's.
You say approximately, you did not measure the amount?
Well, it could have been 7.9 or it could have been 8.1.
And
I just looked at the syringe and looked at about 8 cc's. I withdrew the needle from his arm.
nobody asked you to take a precise amount of
No.
blood? And you did not record the amount of blood you took?
No, it's just routinely, that's about the amount I usually draw.
And you do this on a routine basis every day? Do you do this every day in the jail, take blood?
Oh, whenever, not for this sort of thing, it's usually for alcohol, blood alcohol.
But you do take blood on a
Yes.
regular basis? And you take the same amount of blood?
Yes.
Where did you get the tube from that you put the blood into?
We have a drawer in the dispensary that has tubes in it. And I asked Detective Van Adder to go to that drawer, take the tube out with the purple top, and put Mr. Simpson's name on it and the date, and then hand it to me.
Are there any lot numbers on the tubes that you used?
I believe there are.
Did you record the lot?
No, we don't record that.
Did you record any information as to an inventory regarding the tube that was used to save this blood?
No, it's not a routine procedure that we do.
Did you put any preservative in the tube?
The preservative was already in the tube.
Did you check that before you put
Well,
Mr.
it's-
Simpson's blood in?
It's in there, and it's understood that it's in there. And this preservative is called EDTA, and I don't know what those initials mean.
Did you put the preservative in?
No,
there?
it's in there.
Did you see someone put it in?
No,
there?
they come that way.
Did you shake the blood after you put it into the
Yes.
tube? For how long did you shake it?
Oh, about 10 seconds,
How did you shake it?
just over and over like this.
For the record, the witness is making a gesture with his hand as a fist, something in it, and turning it palm down, palm up.
All right.
Have you ever seen that blood sample again?
No,
Do you know what Detective Van Adder did with that blood sample?
I don't know. I have an idea what is supposed to be done with it, but I don't know what he did with it.
Did you see what he did with it?
Well, he put it in an envelope,
What kind of envelope did he put it
a
in?
gray envelope that has an affidavit on it that I signed.
A gray envelope?
Yes,
And it had an affidavit?
yes.
What did the affidavit say?
Well, it refers to the fact that I drew the blood on such and such a date, and I handed it to Detective Van Adder.
Did you get a copy of that affidavit?
No, that affidavit goes with the officer that takes the blood.
Did you indicate on that affidavit how much blood you drew?
No,
Yes.
That guy made all the nurses mad in chat.
I have a document here that's medical records for persons in custody. Is this what you refer to as an affidavit?
Well, why don't you show it to the witness, counsel?
Yes, could you show it to the witness so he knows exactly what you're referring to,
Yes.
please?
this is called a medical treatment record.
That's not the affidavit?
No, sir.
Let's see if we have the affidavit. This is not one. Do you have the affidavit? Does the affidavit remain on the envelope, do you know?
It is printed on the envelope. It's a gray envelope that all blood goes into. There's an affidavit on it
Recall
inside.
what time you drew this blood?
Yes, sir, blood drawn, at 2:30. I think I have it on there as 14:30.
Was there a physician on duty at the
No,
time?
sir.
Are there any physicians at the jail?
Yes.
I have nothing further, thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Clark, anything further?
One question, Your Honor.
You always
Neither.
have one.
I know. It might be a prosecutor's last word thing. Sir, do you have knowledge of whether those vials that you use to withdraw blood are prepackaged vials?
Yes, they are prepackaged.
Are they all the same size?
Yes, those are about 10 cc vials. We have some smaller ones, but we don't use them.
I have nothing further.
Mr. Shapiro?
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you, sir. You may step down. Please do not discuss your testimony with anyone.
People call Dennis Fung.
I don't work today at all.
Mr. Fung, you've previously been sworn and remain under oath. Please have a seat in the witness stand and state and spell your name.
My name is Dennis Fung, D-E-N-N-I-S-F-U-N-G.
Work on my
You may
sleep.
inquire.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, what is your job?
I am a criminalist employed by the Los Angeles Police Department.
What kind of criminalist are you?
I am assigned to the Firearms Analysis Unit right now, and I am, my job title is Criminalist 3, and that is one of the criminalists who also is a training officer for new criminalists in crime scene processing.
How long have you been a criminalist for the Los Angeles Police Department?
I've been a criminalist for almost 10 years.
Can you tell us, sir, what academic degrees you've achieved at this point?
I have a Bachelor of Science degree in criminalistics from the California State University at Long Beach. I have a Bachelor of Arts degree in chemistry from the California State University at Long Beach. And those are my degrees there.
And what kind of, if any, on-the-job training have you had?
I have received training from supervisors and other criminalists in the laboratory in crime scene processing. I have attended seminars put on by the American Academy of Forensic Sciences and the California Association of Criminalists regarding crime scene processing and reconstruction. While in college, I did an internship with the Orange County Sheriff's Department, in which part of the internship was to go out with their forensic specialists and observe them processing crime scenes. And part of my coursework in college involved processing of mock crime scenes.
Have you attended any seminars concerning crime scene processing, sir?
Yes, I have. In 1991, I attended an American Academy of Forensic Sciences seminar, and in 1988, a seminar put on by the California Association of Criminalists.
Could you please explain for us what crime scene processing means?
Crime scene processing involves the recognition and identification of potential evidence, also the documenting the location of that evidence and maintaining a chain of custody for that evidence, and the proper collection and packaging of evidence to preserve its integrity.
Are there any associations, professional associations, that you're a member of, sir?
Yes, I am a member of the California Association of Criminalists. I've been a member since 1984, and I am a provisional member of the Association of Firearm and Tool Mark Examiners since 1992.
Are you involved in the training of any other criminalists more junior than yourself?
Yes, I am. As I stated before, I'm one of the training officers for the newer criminalists in crime scene processing.
And have you done that in any other location other than the one you're doing presently?
I also have assisted in the training of West Valley Bureau detectives. We put on a crime scene seminar for them back in, I think it was 1989.
Now, is it part of your training to learn how to properly package and preserve evidence that you've collected from a crime scene
Yes, it is.
and to properly document that evidence?
Yes.
Is it part of your duty to maintain the chain of custody and the integrity of the evidence that you collect?
Yes.
Is there any kind of analysis, that is blood analysis work, that you perform on the scene when you're out collecting evidence?
Yes. Out at the scene, I will perform what is known as presumptive blood tests. That is done so that, well, there are a lot of stains that look like blood, and the presumptive test is a good way to eliminate the collection of stains that are not blood.
So you have performed that presumptive test for blood on how many occasions, sir?
I approximate I've done about 10,000 presumptive tests for blood.
About how many crime scenes have you processed in your experience?
I've processed approximately 500 crime scenes.
And have you ever qualified as a crime scene processing expert in a court of law?
Yes, I have.
Approximately how many times?
I've qualified approximately 20 times.
Now, were you called out to process a crime scene at approximately 5:30 a.m. on June the 13th, 1994?
Yes, I did. Yes, I was.
And to what location were you directed?
The location was 360 North Rockingham.
You arrived there when?
I arrived there at 7:10.
And when you arrived there, did you make contact with a detective?
Yes, I did.
Who was that?
I was met there by Detective Van Adder.
And what occurred when you contacted him at that location?
Detective Van Adder briefed me on the crime scene. He showed me blood stains on a Bronco on the driver door exterior handle, and also blood drops along the driveway and a glove on the south side of the house.
I'm directing your attention, sir, to People's 8. Photograph A. First of all, can you tell us, who's the gentleman shown in photograph A?
That appears to be me.
That you?
Me, yes.
Do you remember the item that you're pointing to in photograph A?
Yes, I do.
What is that?
That is what I believe to be a blood stain.
And what is being shown in photograph B?
Photograph B is a close-up of the suspected blood stain with a scale in it.
And for what purpose do you have that ruler in there?
The ruler's there to indicate the size so that we have something to judge how large that stain was.
What does that number 1 in there mean?
The number 1 is a photo ID number used to document the evidence.
Do the photo ID numbers, excuse me, correspond to item numbers in property reports that are prepared by yourself?
Many times they do, but there are times when they do not.
Well, when I say correspond, what I mean is that does every item number have a corresponding photo number?
Yes.
Do the photo ID numbers, excuse me, correspond to item numbers in property reports that are prepared by yourself?
We gotta wait.
Many times they do, but often, but there are times when they do not.
Well, when I say correspond, what I mean is that does every item number have a corresponding photo number?
Yes. Or it should.
Okay. And sometimes the ID, the item number and the photo number are the same,
Yes,
but not always.
that's correct.
In this particular case, with respect to the photo number you've indicated in B, which is 1, for the stain on the door handle,
Yes.
do you know what the corresponding item number is?
The corresponding item number is item number 1.
What, if anything, did you do with respect to that spot that you appear to be pointing to in photographs A and B?
The spot was tested with the presumptive test and came back positive. Then it was measured and ultimately documented and collected.
And now, when you say it came back positive for blood, does that test tell you whether the blood is animal or human?
No, it does not.
Just that it is blood?
Just that it is indicative of blood.
I think you indicated yesterday, sir, that it could be 2 other things, 3 other things. What were they?
The test will give a false positive, or is reported to give a false positive with vegetable peroxidases, and those are found in things like cabbage, apple. There are a few other plant-like materials, and
Buy her
there are
flowers.
also chemicals that are oxidizers, known as, and an example of those would be permanganate or dichromate.
Now, you performed the presumptive test for blood about how many times, sir?
Approximately 10,000 times.
In those 10,000 times, how many of those times have you seen a false positive occur, giving you the result that it is blood when it was in fact one of those other things you named that I can't even pronounce?
To my knowledge, none of them.
Now, after you performed that test on the item number 1 that you've indicated on the Ford Bronco, did you proceed to test some other blood drops?
Yes, I did.
And where were those located, sir?
There were other blood drops proceeding along the rear of the Bronco, leading up to the driveway, along inside the driveway of the compound, and leading towards the front entrance of the house.
Showing you people 6. Directing your attention specifically to photographs D, E, and F. Do you see in all of those these little pieces of paper on the driveway?
Yes, I do.
Can you tell us what they are?
Those are markers indicating where there were red stains.
And do those markers indicate stains that you tested, sir?
Yes.
Now, could you first of all, I meant to ask you before, with respect to that presumptive test for blood, how is it performed? What do you do?
We will wet a cotton swab with distilled water, apply the wet swab to the stain so that the suspected blood is absorbed onto the swab. Phenolphthalein is applied to the swab at that point, and I have observed a slight greenish cast appear at that point. The second step is to add hydrogen peroxide and a very bright pink color shows up almost immediately at that point, and that would be a positive test.
When the bright pink color comes up, it says that means it's positive for blood?
Yeah.
Sorry, positive for an indication of blood.
Yes.
And you performed the test in that manner with respect to the item you've indicated in photo number 1 and item 1, the spot.
Did we really need these questions? I mean, couldn't she just ask, did you test this to see if it was blood? Yes or no? Could you tell whose blood it was? Yes or no? Do we really need all of this, really?
Spot on the door handle of the Ford Bronco.
Yes.
Now, how do you collect blood stains from a crime scene?
Generally, stains are transferred onto a swatch by first wetting the swatch with distilled water, applying it to the stain so that the blood is absorbed onto the swatch, and at that point it's put into a plastic bag and then put into a coin envelope where it is labeled with the corresponding photo ID number.
Now, is it also your job, sir, to package all of the evidence that you collect and label it with what is known as a DR number?
Yes, it is.
And did you do so in this case?
Yes, I did.
Now, I'm going to be directing your attention to item numbers 1 through 8. Did you prepare a report documenting what item numbers 1 through 8 are in this case?
Yes, I did.
Did you collect them, sir?
I did, along with my assistant, Criminalist Mazzola. Criminalist Mazzola.
Is that another criminalist with the Los Angeles Police Department?
Yes.
Do you usually send 2 criminalists to a crime scene?
Not always, no.
What was this criminalist doing with you on that particular day?
She was there to learn how to process scenes.
So you were showing her how it's done?
Yes.
Now, with respect to items 1 through 8, what are those items, sir, as described in your report?
Item 1 is a cloth swatch used to transfer a red stain.
Isn't it normal for trainees to normally make mistakes while they're learning how to do stuff? How did you stop her from making mistakes?
Item 2 is a wood stick. Item 3 is a Marlboro cigarette butt. Item 4 is another cloth swatch used to transfer red stain. Items, to make it easier, items 4 through 8 are cloth swatches used to transfer red stains. And is that all you asked for?
That's all I asked for.
Okay.
Okay, so as to item 1, sir, that
Donald, there's a book called Flatlands, A Romance of Dimensions. It's real short. It's just a tiny little book. You should read it. It'll tell you what a circle is, or why a circle's round, or it's really good.
is the Ford Bronco you've already testified to.
Yes.
With respect to items 4 through 8, where were those items? Those were blood stains also?
Yes.
Where were those recovered?
Items 4 through 8.
Yes.
Items 4 through 8 were collected within the driveway of 360 North Rockingham. There was a trail starting from the gate and leading up to the front door of the house.
Starting from the gate, sir?
The gate on, I believe, Rockingham.
Let me show you photographs that you've seen that were previously marked as People's 8.
I never pick on you, ever.
You see photograph C and photograph D?
Yes.
In photograph C, do you see a marker with the number 4 on it,
Yes, I do.
and that's on the asphalt right behind the Ford Bronco?
Yes,
And photograph D, see, appears to be of the asphalt also?
yes.
A close-up of photograph 4?
Possibly, yes.
Well, sir, do you see any other markers on asphalt?
No.
So do you think that photograph D is a close-up of the photograph shown in C?
It's a good possibility.
How many cloth swatches do you have of blood recovered from asphalt in your report, sir?
Just one.
And is that one the item number 4?
Yes, it is.
And does D appear to be a close-up of a stain on asphalt, sir?
Yes,
May we deduce that that is the close-up of item number 4?
yes.
And what did you determine, what test did you perform on that item?
Item number 4.
Yes.
I did a presumptive test for blood,
And the result was?
positive.
And item number, so then that was a blood drop, indicative of a blood drop behind the Ford Bronco,
Yes,
item number 4.
yes.
And were there other blood drops leading up through the driveway towards the residence that you tested?
Yes,
And were those items 5, 6, 7, and 8?
yes,
And you performed the same presumptive blood test?
yes.
Result was?
They all were indicative of the presence of blood.
How did you record these results?
The results were recorded on a crime scene checklist.
That's some form that you take with you to a crime scene?
Yes,
And were all of those items packaged by yourself bearing the DR number of this case?
yes. I may have had some assistance from Criminalist Missoula in some of these items.
Did you assure yourself that the packaging was properly done and that all items bore the same DR number?
Yes.
And what is the DR number for this case?
The DR number for this case is 940817431.
Do you assure yourself that all items packaged and collected by you bore that DR number?
As far as I know, yes.
Did you collect any other item? Well, let me direct your attention to item number 9 on your property report, sir.
Yes.
What item is that and where did you collect it from?
Item number 9 is a brown leather glove, a right-handed one with red stains.
Collected from where?
That is collected from the south side of the house.
If it was about Donald, it showed.
Showing you the photographs that have been previously marked as People's 9. Can I ask you if you recognize the location shown in photographs A, B, C, D?
Yes, I do.
Is that, what location is that?
That is the south side of the house of 360 North Rockingham.
And showing you the photograph that has been previously marked as People's 21. You recognize that?
Yes, I do.
Does that appear to be the same glove in the same location as those depicted in photographs A through D and E?
Yes.
Now E, that photograph E, do you recognize that one? That photograph, sir?
I haven't seen, well, it appears to be a depiction of the item number 9.
Did you cause that photograph to be taken or have some part in setting that up?
Yes. Detective Van Adder asked me to have the glove photographed, and I did. I had some of the lab personnel do that.
And it has item number 9 on it. What does that tell you?
That indicates to me that that is the same glove that is depicted in People's 21.
And in the other photographs that you previously identified, A, B, C, and D?
Yes.
Did you perform some test on the item number 9, that glove, at the location where you found it?
Yes, I did.
And what kind of test was that?
I performed the presumptive test for blood on it, and it came back with a positive result.
After you obtained the results on strike that, on item number 1 and item numbers 4 through 8 and item number 9, the glove, did you collect those items?
Yes, I did.
And you indicated earlier you had them all packaged?
Yes.
And all were labeled with the DR number for this case?
Yes.
In what manner did you package the blood swatches that you obtained from the location of 360 Rockingham?
Initially, I put the cloth swatches in plastic bags individually, then placed the plastic bags into a coin envelope and labeled the envelope with a photo ID number.
And with respect to the glove, item number 9, how did you package that?
The glove in item number 9 was packaged in a brown paper bag.
Now, the photographs that I have shown you with respect to the Ford Bronco and the driveway,
And the glove.
let me also show you People 6 again.
No, not the glove.
No, I'm referring to People 6,
Yes.
People's 9,
Yes.
and People's 8.
Yes.
Do these photographs accurately depict the evidence and the location in which you found them, the condition in which you found them?
Yes, they do.
At what time did you complete your work at the Rockingham Avenue address?
We completed the collection and documentation at approximately 10 o'clock.
And where did you go after that?
At that point, we proceeded on to, I forgot the address here. We proceeded on to 875 South Bundy.
And what time did you arrive there?
We arrived there at 10:15.
Did you meet with a detective at that location, sir?
Yes, I did.
Who?
I was met there by the officer in charge of the scene, Detective Lang.
Talk to him when you got there?
Yes, I did.
Did he tell you something?
Yes, he told me items of evidence he wanted me to collect, and he showed to me a blood trail and some shoe prints which appeared to be bloody shoe prints.
And did he ask you to do something with them?
He asked that I photograph them and measure their locations.
And did you prepare a report of what you did with respect to the evidence you recovered at the scene at 875 South Bundy?
Yes, I did prepare a property report.
Now, did you have any interaction with the bodies of any of the victims at the crime scene?
I briefly saw them being removed, but no.
Is it part of your job to have any contact with the bodies of victims when you go to crime scenes to process them?
Under certain circumstances, I may, but the bodies are under the jurisdiction of the coroner's office.
Now, sir, did you recover a glove from the location of 875 South Bundy?
Yes, I did.
Showing you the photograph that has been previously marked as People's 12, can you tell me if you recognize what's shown there?
Yes, in the photograph marked People's 12, a brown glove is depicted along with a photo ID number 102.
And that photo ID number 102 corresponds to what item number, sir?
Photo ID 102 corresponds to item number 37.
Did you prepare a report concerning any analysis you may have performed on that item?
I did not do an analysis of the glove at the scene.
You did not?
No.
Why not?
It was not necessary for the investigative process at that time.
Directing your attention, sir, to a photograph that has been previously marked People's 11. Can you tell us what's depicted there?
The photograph marked People's 11 depicts a dark blue watch cap, and next to it is a marker with the number 103.
And that corresponds to what item number, sir?
That corresponds to item number 38.
And what test did you perform on that item?
No test was
No,
done
I wanna thank
on the cap at that point in time.
Why not?
Was not necessary for the investigative process at that time.
What do you mean by that?
It is best to not manipulate the evidence and to leave it in as much an undisturbed condition so that it can later be analyzed in a proper setting back at the laboratory. By manipulating the evidence
I
out
don't
at the
know yet.
scene, valuable trace evidence could be lost. So what we try to do is just leave it as undisturbed as possible and by packaging it and bringing it back to the lab.
So you try to do as little testing as you can of items in order to preserve them.
Yes,
And only if it's absolutely necessary do you test them at the scene?
yes.
In what manner was the glove, item number 37, packaged, sir?
The glove in item number 37 was packaged in a brown paper bag.
I'm showing you photograph People's 10 for identification. Can you tell us what's in that photograph?
The photograph marked People's 10 depicts a envelope with red stains on it, and next to it is a card marked 104.
And that corresponds to item number?
That corresponds to item number 39.
And that is another item of evidence that you collected?
Yes, it is.
In what manner did you package that?
That also was placed into a brown paper bag.
Showing you People's 14. If you can, sir, does that depict all three items? The blue knit cap, the glove, and the envelope as you found them?
Yes.
And the items that you have just described in photo ID 102, 103, 104, as depicted in People's 10, 11, 12, and 14, are those all shown in the manner in which you found them and the condition in which you found them at the crime scene?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a troll. It's a troll from Texas. Look, I would never say that. That's not court vibes.
Showing you, strike that. With respect to all of those items, sir, did you take them and package them with bearing the DR number for this case?
Yes, I did.
Showing you People's 15 for identification.
Yes. The photograph marked People's 15 depicts a large red stain, and next to it is a card marked 107.
Were you directed to preserve, photograph, and test bloody shoe prints at that scene?
Yes, I was.
Do you see one of them in that photograph, People's 15?
Yes, I did.
And where is it, sir? Can you point it out, please?
It appears on the first step, and it is to the right, top right corner of the photograph.
If you could show the court.
You're referring to right here in this area?
Yes.
And what did you do to preserve those particular shoe prints, those bloody shoe prints?
The shoe prints were photographed in double scale, and I did take a sample from two of the shoe prints.
A blood sample?
It was positive. Yes.
Now, were you also requested to photograph and test a trail of blood drops at that location?
Yes, I was.
Showing you People's 19 and 20, sir. Can you tell us if you recognize these photographs?
Yes, I do.
And can you tell us, first of all, with respect to People's 19?
People's 19 depicts four of the red stains along the north path along the house at 870 Bundy. 875 Bundy.
Were there some bloody shoe prints at some point to the right of those blood drops?
Yes, there were.
Now, the numbers that are shown in photographs B, C, D, E, F, and G, 112 through 115, are those photo ID numbers?
Yes, they are.
Do they correspond to item numbers?
Yes, they do.
What item numbers do they correspond to?
They correspond to item numbers 47 through 50.
So 47 would be photo ID number 112,
Yes.
and then 49 would be, item 49 would be photo ID number 114,
Yes.
and
Glad they made it easy on everybody.
114 is shown close-up in photograph E,
Yes, it is.
and is it shown in perspective in photograph D?
Yes, it is.
And do you recall, do you have an independent recollection of how that location looked? The location shown in photograph D?
Somewhat.
Were those stairs leading back to an alley, sir?
Yes, they were.
Did you perform some kind of test on item 49 while you were at 875 South Bundy?
Yes, I did.
And what about item numbers 47, 48, 50, and 52?
Yes, I did presumptive tests on those stains.
Now, the item numbers I've just stated, item number 47 is shown in photograph, close-up in photograph B.
Yes.
And item number 48 is shown close-up in photograph C.
Yes.
Thank you, Fozzie.
Item number
Thank
49
you.
shown close-up in photograph E.
Yes.
Item number 50 shown close-up in photograph G.
Yes.
Okay, now does photograph F show the blood drop in photograph G in perspective for its general location?
I may take a closer look.
Yes.
Yes, it does.
And the gate shown in photograph F, is that the rear gate leading out to the alley?
Yes, it is.
Showing you people's 20, sir. With respect to photograph C. See photo ID number 117?
Yes.
And that corresponds to what item number?
That corresponds to item number 52.
And is that close-up shown in perspective in photograph B?
Yes, it is.
Where is the location that photograph one, that the item shown in photo ID number 117 was found?
That is on the driveway on the alley behind the house.
The driveway to the rear of the residence?
Yes.
Is that the wheel of a car we see at the left side of the photograph as we face it in photograph B?
Yes.
And is that the alley running behind the house that we see at the upper left-hand corner of photograph B as we face it?
Yes, it is.
And it was on that driveway that item number 117 was found?
Yes.
I'm sorry, photo ID number 117 was found.
Yes.
And that's item number 52?
Yes, it is.
Now, with respect to each of those photo ID and item numbers that I've just
Thank you,
mentioned, did you
Donald.
perform a
Thank
test?
you.
Yes, I did.
What kind of test?
I performed the presumptive test for blood on them.
And what was the result with respect to all of those item numbers?
They were positive, indicating the presence of blood.
All right, Ms. Clark, I'm going to interrupt you at this point. It's 3 o'clock. We're going to take our 15-minute recess.
Nancy, you're doing great. What is your first language, Nancy?
All right, we're once again on the record in the case of People versus Simpson. The defendant is present with counsel. The people are represented.
thank you.
Mr. Fung is on the witness stand. A reminder that you remain under oath. Ms. Clark.
Thank you. We were talking about what appeared to be blood shoe prints.
Yes.
On People's 19, I see in photograph D that there on the steps are letters A-G, H-I, J through O, it appears, on the landing.
Through AO, yes.
Each of those letters that I just said are preceded by an A, correct?
Yes.
And what do those letters on that photograph D document?
Those document shoe prints which were which appeared on the steps.
And did you sample 3 of those shoe prints as representative samples of them in order to determine whether or not they were indicative of blood?
I did various shoe prints along the trail. I don't recall which ones I did, though, but as far as...
Let me ask you this, sir. Items 55, 56, and photo ID numbers D and F, letters D and F.
Yes,
Were those among the bloody shoe prints that you sampled with the presumptive test for blood?
yes, they were.
And what result did you obtain?
Those were positive for, or indicative of the presence of blood.
Now, I don't see any letters marked in photograph F. I see a number marker at the top of the landing right by the gate, but I don't see any letters.
That is correct.
Why is that?
The shoe prints got lighter and lighter as they went to the west of the location. So as they
No, you owe her an apology. You did that.
got to that point, they were not visible any longer.
Now, with respect to each of the item numbers and letters that we have discussed today, did you place the DR number for this case on each of them
Yes, I did.
and have them stored at the lab?
Yes.
Did you receive a vial of whole blood bearing the name O.J. Simpson and this case DR number
Yes,
from Detective Van Adder on June 13th, 1994?
Yes, I did.
And what did you do with that, sir?
I brought it back to the lab, assigned it an item number, and submitted it to the criminalist
What
just
item
in
number?
serology.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And I submitted it to a criminalist in serology.
And what item number did you assign to that?
That was assigned item number 17.
And did you receive vials of whole blood from Colin Yamauchi on June the 15th?
Yes, I did.
And were those labeled as Nicole Brown Simpson and Ronald Goldman?
Yes.
Did you package them and place item numbers on those as well?
Yes, I did.
What item number did you give to the whole blood taken from Nicole Brown Simpson?
That was item number 59.
And for Ronald Goldman?
That was item number 60.
And again, those were labeled with a DR number for this case as well?
Yes, they were.
And what did you do with those items after you received them from Colin Yamauchi?
Once I received them, I placed them in envelopes, labeled.
All right, guys, we did it. We did two of them. And now we are number 27. So when we start, we'll do 27, which is the last day of it's the last video of July 7th. And then we have 4 of July 8th. And then that's it. We get into the trial. Yay. I'm sorry, I was looking at the comments. So, guys, thank you so much for coming out. I really, really appreciate it. And I will see you all again very, very soon. I hope you guys have a great day. Bye, guys. Thank you.